Hello, I'm Jay, owner of Volunteer Audio in Oliver Springs, Tennessee, and today is the day that I have been waiting for, and so have many of you. I'm going to show you today about how you can take out that terrible factory amplifier in your 2023.5 CVO or newer, or that 2024 and up base model bike, Road Glide or Street Glide, and put a huge 1,000-watt RMS Hertz amp in its place. The A to B interface is done. I want to make a video telling you a little bit about that technology, all the details of what you need to know as we launch our series on how to upgrade your new Harley Davidson with the audio system you've been dreaming about. All right, so I feel I need to catch you up just a little bit as to how we've got to where we are right now. First off, last year, Volunteer Audio knew this new CVO was going to be the future of Harley Davidson, and if we're going to continue to sell audio for Harleys, we need to embrace the new look, get some new bikes, and start to develop the right parts. Now, Harley did a lot of advertisement around this new audio system, supposedly going to be one of the best systems they've ever put in a Harley. Now, we bought two of them and I listened to them and I was very, very disappointed in the sound, but at the same time excited because that meant there was plenty of room for us to update them. So I brought them in, did some testing. We did a video a while back, you can check it out. And this is the amplifier that came in those new 23.5 and newer CVOs. Same one that are continuing the 24 models in your CVO ST. The ratings on that amp was 500 watts. But when we listened to it, we knew it just wasn't loud enough to be clear going down the highway. And I know it takes 100 watts RMS or more power to clearly hear it at highway speeds. Now, the bike itself was quiet. The windshield was a little bit to be desired. We were really in the wind a lot, but still yet you couldn't hear the audio. So we brought it back, we dyno tested that factory amp, and we got about 78 watts of RMS power per channel. If you do that by 4, it's a little less than 320 total watts of RMS power. Now, I wanted to put the big Hertz amp in. Why? Because the Hertz amp at 2 ohm, which is the rating that this Rockford amp was tested at, does almost 1,200 watts on that same dyno. We got 290 watts per channel RMS, and we love 4 ohm speakers. That's going to open us up to be able to do up to 8 speakers off of the 1 amp. So if you wanted upper fairing, lower fairing, tour pack speakers, lid speakers, it doesn't matter what your desire is, this amp will run all of them. So if you're going to do 2 speakers, it's going to do it much better than this amp will. If you're doing 4 speakers, plenty of power to drive those rear speakers so that you hear them and get that added mid bass from those rears. It was the solution we wanted to do. Now we got to the bike. We started testing and we found out Harley had changed everything. When I say everything, it's a completely new design, and they used a new technology that we had only been involved with before in some Ford model vehicles. So this new technology was a communication called A to B. I'm familiar with a tech called Dante when we're doing pro audio or large stadium audio. But when it came to car, they had a similar tech called A to B that just uses 2 copper conductors to do 31 channels of audio bidirectionally. So what it's done is it's taken our instrument cluster and it's pretending to be a radio. It's really just a fancy display to show us information from our engine, but also information from our audio. And the part that's really difficult for most people to understand is that actually the audio is created and housed in the factory amplifier. So as soon as you remove the amp, there's nothing that's creating sound, nothing that's even doing a low amperage or low wattage output that could be amplified. It's really a digital signal running into the stock amplifier. So if you fade, if you balance, if you change the EQ, it changed settings inside of a very small DSP that then sent an audio signal into the amplifier portion and created all your sound. So remove the amp and we have silence. No way to tie to it. So we did some testing of that factory amp and we found out that the 500 watt factory amplifier was very dirty in its output. And if we stacked the DSP or amp after it, we had some really large, loud, nasty floor noise that we really couldn't get rid of. And by putting a DSP in, we could start to cut those frequencies, but at the same time, we're going to cut that sound in the actual music. It also left us with another problem. If you start stacking another amp and a DSP with the factory amp, we're very, very lacking in space. These are brand new bikes. We're not going to start cutting things into fairing to make more room. So that limited us to doing a very small amplifier stacked on top of a stock amplifier. Now we realized this really wasn't a solution with the 500 watt amp, because this amp did 78 watts and most amps that would fit didn't do more. So fast forward just a little bit, and the new 2024 model, the base model bikes came out, and we had the smaller 200 watt factory amp. Now this was even more terrible. We bought our bike, we brought it back. I couldn't hear the thing above 35, 40 miles an hour. I knew it was really bad. So we put it on our dyno. We did the same test we did on the other bike, and we got 9 watts a channel. Did a video on it. You're welcome to check it out. But the most I ever got trying to trick it and even clip it was 11 watts. 9 to 11 watts is a tenth of what we need to hear at highway speeds. But we had a very small amp with very low output that didn't have a terrible amount of floor noise that allowed us to stack a better amp for those guys. And we released a very lower powered 2-speaker option using a Kenwood amp that did really well. A lot of you have been really happy with it. But I've been working the entire time trying to get back to what we started with. Let's put the big amp in. Let's run 8 speakers if we want to, or 2 speakers better than any other way we can do it. And to do that, this has to leave. So God always opens doors. He sent the right people, and I got involved with a group called SeirenHD. It's one of the best engineering companies in the world when it comes to A to B communication, and I was able to work out an exclusive deal with them to build us our first volunteer audio A to B interface. So you'll notice it says SeirenHD and volunteeraudio.com, because this is something we did together in conjunction. They've got the brains and the smarts. I bought some bikes. We got together. We engineered a new part. And I'm bringing it to you today for the first time. And I'm very excited about it because we did not skimp on this. We did not cut corners. This engineering group is the top quality place to get this built, because I know you bought a really nice bike and you don't want to put any junk in it. So this interface is built here in the US. It's actually assembled and put together in Florida. The circuit boards are put together in Florida. We're using the exact A to B chip that the factory amp did. So we're able to emulate all the factory features. We've lost absolutely nothing. And this is not some knockoff low quality chip that's trying to emulate what the stock one did. We've also had to spend some time developing software to make sure that the factory updates still work as you have this in your bike. And then we built everything completely plug and play around it to make sure we don't void any factory warranties. This allows us to get this amp out, put our bigger amp in. SeirenHD was the best company to do this, and Volunteer Audio has an exclusivity on this part. You won't find it anywhere else. This is amazing. We love it. It's got a DSP in it. There's a 31-band DSP built into the SeirenHD interface. It also has 4-volt RMS pre-outs, front, rear, and subwoofers. So if you want to later add a sub, and yes, we have a drop-in sub solution coming in the future that you can hook up to this without any problem. You're going to be able to add that added bass you want as well. So we've thought it all out. We've come up with the best solution, and we spent all the money and time it took and resources to put it together. And now we have this. We have our amplifier completely plug and play to our new interface. It fits in your fairing. We've even developed exact factory brackets to bolt it in. Now, on the first few that leave out of here in the next 45 to 60 days, we don't have those brackets yet. I'll show you a simple method with some Velcro to go ahead and put it in. And if you want to get the brackets later, we'll give those to you then. But we're not going to charge you for them now in case you decide, hey, this worked great with the Velcro and I don't want to do anything else. So I wanted to tell you about the product. I wanted to show you the product. I need to explain to you, why is this even necessary? And what this essentially is your radio. This is the radio. The other part's just a display. When you turn the volume up and down, a signal goes to this and it turns its internal power up and down so that we send out to the front or rear speakers through fade. Or when we change the EQ, it picks a preset inside of the DSP that's inside. And Volunteer Audio got to tune this along with SeirenHD. So we tuned it specifically for this bike, for the size of its speaker enclosures, for the frequency responses our speakers can do. And man, we got a full sound with a lot of bass. We've actually been able to get 65 Hertz range and a little lower out of the front pots. We've been able to get some really good deep bass from the rear, and this is so loud, but yet so full in sound. It's the best sounding system I think I've ever heard in a bike, especially for a 4-speaker. Can't wait to build some 6 and 8 speaker versions of it. But as you can tell, I'm excited. I have put our name on this new part. To do that, I had to find the right people. We didn't find a low quality Chinese manufacturer, and we even made sure it was built here in the United States. Let's get to a bike. I'm going to show you a little bit more about how it fits in the fairing. We'll talk a little bit more about the capabilities of what it is and everything you're going to see inside of it. All right, so here I've got the fairing off of our 24 Road Glide base model. I want to show you what we've done. What we did is factory, this was the amplifier, and this was the plug that was plugged into it. We've made it where we can take this out, and that makes plenty of room for our larger Hertz amp, which is going to sit right on that factory amp tray. The factory amp plug plugs right into our interface, which has the correct plug-ins and outputs to go straight into our amp. We simply run a larger power and ground from the battery to generate that extra power, and we mount our SeirenHD interface right here in front of the amp. Fairing goes right back on. We got some images showing you with and without the fairing and how that fits. We'll be putting up on screen. This is available at volunteeraudio.com. It's only going to be sold in a package that comes with the amp and comes with the appropriate speakers. Now, a lot of you have already bought your speakers from Volunteer Audio. You've bought the Hertz Neo to go on your new bike. You're excluded from that. We will talk to you one-on-one. We'll check that you've already bought those parts, and we'll make sure that we get you your amp and your interface preset for that. So don't get mad at me. We've got you thought of. But the rest of you got to buy it as a package with speakers. This isn't tuned nor set to work with other brands. And I've picked the best speakers for your bike, the best amplifier. It's not about sheer power, even though we have way more than enough power. It's about longevity and quality. It's not going to overheat. It's completely water sealed. It doesn't interfere with your FM reception. It has so many benefits to this amplifier that other ones don't, that Volunteer Audio is able to actually give you a 3-year warranty on the amp and the speakers, even against blowing the speakers. This is an amazing sounding system, and I want to make sure that when we put our name on these parts and we sell you a kit, that it sounds tremendously better than anything you could get back at your dealership. And we did that. We've thought it all out. We have our SoundSkins kits on the way to be able to wrap your front fairing pods to get an even better bass response. But I'll tell you, this bike sounds amazing. Now watch our next video. I'm going to actually go ride this bike, show you some riding footage, just how loud and clear it is. We'll do a walk away. I'm planning on hopefully getting down to a football field and giving you a long walk away so you can tell how loud this bike is. I'm really excited about it. And over the next week, I'm going to show you step-by-step install videos on your base model Road Glides, your CVO Street Glide and Road Glide. We're going to show you how to add rear wiring if you didn't have it. We're going to talk a little bit more about the cut kits coming from Hertz, as well as using factory lids when we get to that point. But I've got a whole video series lined up so you know everything you need to know about this. We'll install it. We'll walk through how it's set up in the radio. There's no need to return to your dealer. No flashing has to be done. Not a single wire on the bike gets cut, and we don't modify anything that would void any warranties. This is the best solution, and it will be for a very, very long time. Check out volunteeraudio.com over the next week. We're going to be putting all these packages up on the site. But if you were part of the wait list and you said, hey, call me when it's available, we're going to start that probably Thursday this week, and we're going to move through that list calling each one of you. We only have so many interfaces. We only have so many amps. So we're going to space this out. We've got about 100 interfaces. We'll call the first 100. We'll get those out there. You'll start seeing people post they've put it in, how much they love it. And then we're going to start calling the remainder ones, giving them timelines and letting them do their own purchasing. And you'll see it go live on our website. Probably within the next week, you'll have all the packages. So if you're watching this in the future, they're probably already on there. If you're watching it today, just a few more days and all of them will be live where you can see them and purchase them right on the website. Thank you so much for watching. This is the future. We love being there first. And I love telling you about the latest in Harley audio as it comes out. So like our Facebook posts, subscribe to YouTube, follow us because you're going to learn about it here before you learn about it anywhere else. I do have a new piece coming out. It's a headset emulator that will allow your Apple CarPlay to work without a headset. This is going to be built at the same quality level this is. We're emulating that factory Harley protocol perfectly. This isn't a cheap Amazon part cut and pieced together to try to make it work. This is something built for your bike, weatherproof, that's going to last for years and years. We're all about quality, not quantity here at Volunteer Audio. And we're going to make sure you get the best parts for your bike. So definitely keep up, watch the rest of the videos. You're going to be happy you did, and you're going to love your new sound system. Call us at 1-844-30-AUDIO if you want to get added to that call list. You still got a few days for that to happen before it goes live on the website. Everybody that calls in is going to get first dibs on their setup, their interface, and their amp. Like this video, it helps us, it moves it up in search results. It's free to you, helps us so much. We thank you for doing that. And as always, thank you for watching, and God bless.